And our talk of the town here on AM 1390 KRFO. And we've been doing this for a number of years around this time of year as Kim Cosens joins us with the Harry Wenger Marching Band Festival. Oh, 6 years?
Seventh year already this
I'm
year.
close. That's
You're very close.
To be close, that's all I need is my age right now. And that's coming up with what's the week? What's the day?
June the 18th. It's a Saturday as usual, and like you said, it's just coming up. We're in June now, so just a couple of weeks and a few days away from this point, and we're excited about it.
And again, each year it's gotten a little bit bigger, a little bit better. And talk a little bit about the event. Anything new this year? Or?
Yeah, we always try to tweak a few things to make it a little bit better if we can. We want to have a great experience for the audience that comes to watch, as well as our real focus is on the students, right, that are going to be here and marching. We want them to have a wonderful experience that day. So a couple new things, I suppose, that we would say we've added this year. We've got the Knights of Columbus Choir singing the national anthem and then doing a little entertaining of the crowd there in the judges area at the very beginning of the event there at 11 o'clock. So we're excited about that. We've got our patron event, as we've always had. That starts a little earlier than 11 that morning there with the VIP brunch, and they get parking and they get reserved seats there in the bleachers right in the judges area. So it's really a spectacular experience for those folks that might be our patrons. But we're also honoring this year Patsy White as our honorary marshal. Her and her husband Vern had done a lot to really support the Owatonna community. Vern worked out there at Wenger, and so we wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to honor Patsy this year.
Okay, and again, the good place, if you'd like to, the best place, of course, is right downtown by the post office where the judging stand. There's a couple other hot spots where the bands are going to perform. Where are they?
They are the other two play zones. The first one is up there in front of the Trinity Lutheran Church. That's on Lincoln between University and Phelps. And the second one is just 2 blocks farther down the street to the north. They're on Lincoln between Academy and Agnes. And so all the bands will perform in all 3 judges' zones is what we recommend they do. And so I think most all the bands perform in all 3 zones. But we're really excited. Trinity Lutheran this year called and they said, Kim, would it be okay if we put up some bleachers for people to sit in up there? And so they're looking at that possibility. I don't know if they've decided to do it for sure, but they're looking at the possibility of trying to put up some bleachers for folks up there. I know we get a big crowd in all 3 of the play zones.
About how many people do you think come into town and into Owatonna for this festival?
That's a great question, Lauren. We've thought about this, and we think between the students themselves and the staff and the entourage, if you will, that travels with each of these bands, their parents and the people that come out, we think we're somewhere in that 4,000 to maybe 5,000 on a really nice day that come to Owatonna for this event.
Okay. For those who haven't been to it before, about how long can they expect it to last from 11 till what?
It starts at 11 o'clock. That first band will step off up there on Lincoln at 11 o'clock. And usually the last band, which is Owatonna, they come through an exhibition. Usually they are through the judges' zone by 1 o'clock. And so a couple of hours is about what it is. If you want to go over to the awards ceremony in Central Park afterwards, that's kind of a lot of fun. All the students are there and the bands, it just fills the entire park, and we announce the awards and the winners at that point. Usually by 2 o'clock, everything's wrapped up, and if you didn't know any different, you wouldn't have known that there was a band festival that day. So.
And I think one of the nicest things, probably best compliments, a lot of the bands, they want to come back. They've been here before. They want to come back. What do we got for a lineup for bands this year, Kim?
We are really proud of that fact, Lauren. The bands that do come tend to want to come back. We've really tried to strive to make this one of the best festivals in the state, and I think we're succeeding. We've got 3 classes again. In Class A, New Richland, Heartland, Ellendale, Geneva. And then KMS, which is a consolidated school district over on the southwest part of the state. I believe it's Kirkhoven, Murdoch, Sunburg are the 3 towns that make up that school district. Winona Cotter, way over the other side of the state, is a Catholic school in Winona. Dover Iota in southeast Minnesota, and Lake City in southeast Minnesota. So we've really got southern Minnesota from border to border almost covered in Class A. In Richfield, we start to bring in some of the Twin Cities schools. Richfield is back with us again this year. Malacca, from way up north of the Twin Cities, comes all the way down for our festival. A very, very fine band. And Henry Sibley, another program out of the Twin Cities that has really been improving a lot over the last few years. We're excited to welcome them back. In 3A this year, we've got three I just call them heavy hitters. They're three really great band programs. Waconia up there around the metro area. Mankato Lancers. A lot of people don't realize that this isn't just Mankato West or East. These are all the schools in the Mankato area, so East and West and the Catholic schools, and anybody that's interested in that area in trying to audition for the Mankato Lancers has an opportunity to march in that band. And then the 728 Cadets, this is a reasonably new program over the last 5 to 10 years, and they're based out of Rogers, Zimmerman, and Lake Elmo. And again, a really fantastic marching program. And then, of course, our own Owatonna marching band will be marching an exhibition at the end and getting the benefit of judges' comments.
I'm sure a lot of folks are like me, but they've never been band directors. So let's see, I have my own band. I've signed up. You've accepted me. What can I expect? Can I do whatever I want? My band's going to play a half-hour set, and there's 150. What are some things I have to be aware of as a band director?
That's a wonderful question. There are a lot of rules that go into the summer marching circuit, and so it starts with the length of the competition zone or the performance zone is exactly 100 yards long. And so it's the same length as a football field, if you will. And the way the judging works is from the point that the very first person in the ensemble enters that marked off 100-yard zone to the point where the last person in the band exits it is when they are being judged and when they're being provided comments on their performance. So they design a show that has to fit within that space. And they don't really have a time limit, but I would say most bands are somewhere between 3 and 5 minutes with their musical presentation.
I'm glad I asked that. I had no idea.
Yeah, great question.
No one else did either. What about the actual instruments? Does it have to be a certain balance, or no? I mean, if I have 20 drummers and 2 bugles. I mean, I can't do that.
Sure. That's a band director's nightmare every single year is trying to get balanced instrumentation, and so they certainly strive to get a balanced number of instruments on every part so that it can be heard correctly. But a lot of this music anymore is custom written or custom arranged, I should say, for that particular band. So in your situation, you might have mentioned maybe that particular year you don't have very many trumpet players that are real strong, but you've got a really strong trombone section or low brass section. You might have your music arranged to feature your low brass because they're stronger that year and not as much demand from your trumpets. Or you might write a really challenging percussion book because you have an outstanding drum line that year. Or it might be a year where you've got really beginner drummers, and so you write a very basic percussion for them. And so you really try to feature your strengths. And the same thing with your marching. Your drill design is tried to design to take your band to a new point of challenge, but not so far past what they can actually accomplish.
Other years we've talked about, the practice and such, and now again, it's almost like coaching a football team. It seems I keep thinking of sports when you're actually doing this. Right?
It's very similar in the sense that you're working with young people. You're trying to instill in them how to work hard and have specific goals, how to work as a team, how to be able to figure out what they need to do to get better in each area, but realizing that this is a group of individuals that have individual responsibilities, but they all work together for the common good of the entire ensemble. And many times there are comparisons to sports teams in that sense because there's a lot of similarities. The one key difference, though, is with a marching band, there are no subs. So you don't have a situation where, Jimmy, you're not doing a very good job. We're going to pull you out and we're going to put in Johnny instead. And so every single kid is responsible for that spot. You don't have opportunity to say, okay, we're going to pull that one out and put another one in. There's no timeouts. I mean, you start, you go all the way through. There's no opportunity like in sports to maybe call a timeout and regroup and get things back together. So when it starts, you're in until it's done.
And each year we talk about it, but it's just sort of fun talking about the actual judging of it. Stay in step and don't squeak. But yeah, there's so many other things that are judged and being judged in front of the judges stand. Talk a little bit about some of those things.
Oh, it's so true. There's 6 judges, and you're going to have 2 judges that are specifically focused on the music. One of them is judging the execution of the music. They're down on the parade route in amongst the performers, listening for the way the kids are playing and watching to hear for proper balance and make sure everybody's pulling their weight, so to speak. And then there is a music general effect judge who's up on the flat flatbed. They're listening to the overall presentation. What's the balance and blend like? Is it creating a particular theme or an emotion, or what's it trying to say more as a theatrical production? Then you've got the visual side. You've got two judges again, one that judges marching and maneuvering execution down on the street with the kids. Are they holding their instruments at the same angle? Are they placing their feet correctly? Is their body posture correct? Is somebody's pants too long? Is their hat on crooked? All of those sorts of things. And then you've got the visual general effect judge who's up on the flatbed, who's judging what's the overall theatrical presentation like. Is it really drawing me in to be part of this performance, or is it sloppy? Are there things that aren't happening the way that they should happen? And then in addition to that, you've got two other judges that focus on specific areas. One focuses specifically on the percussion section, and one focuses specifically on the color guard. And so you'll see, do they complement the overall performance? Do they distract from the performance? Anymore, you'll see lots and lots of props in these shows, Lauren. Kids will have flags and rifles and sabers and other props and things that they're going to bring out and utilize to help communicate this show. So it takes a lot of creativity to figure out how to put on this basically miniature musical presentation on the street, moving down the street as it goes. So it's a challenge, but it's really a fun activity for people to watch.
You caught my ear when you said the pants might be too long. I mean, so if I'm in the band and maybe I don't have my shirt tucked in, I could be costing my band?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Yep.
Sounds like the Army.
It's very, very much based on military background.
Yep.
You know, the marching bands came out of the military background, and there was indeed an exact way that the uniform needed to be worn correctly. And that's true today. And so a lot of times you'll see a band that'll go by and their pants might be too long. And it's a matter of, that's a visual distraction. You can't see the feet correctly. You can't see the ankle placement correctly. And so you know how kids are. They might say, well, the pants look geeky if they're too short. Well, you're not wearing them because you're going to go on a date. You're wearing them because you're in a marching ensemble and you all need to look exactly the same. So it is something that I, as a judge, see a lot more of in the last few years, is pants on individuals that are too long. They haven't hiked them up. And it's a very simple thing to do.
Who are these judges, and how do you become a judge?
Judges are generally past music teachers or current music teachers, people that are teaching in the activity. They are professionals that have been selected because of the way that they have put their own programs together for many years before that. So as you might know, I taught for 20 years and I've been judging for, probably 20 years as well now. And it's just a state judges association that covers all of the summer marching parades and all the fall field shows in the state of Minnesota.
Okay, there we go. We're talking to Kim Cosens, the Harry Wenger Marching Band Festival. Again, the time and date for it is?
The date is Saturday, June the 18th. Start time is 11. Get there early, as always, if you want to get a good spot. I do want to just thank a couple of people, our major sponsors, Hy-Vee, the Owatonna People's Press, and the Wenger Foundation. And I want to thank the community and the business sponsors that help to support this organization. People like KRFO here who are helping us to get the word out today and will help us get a little bit more of the word out the week of the festival. We want to thank our patron donors and our volunteers that spend so much time working the day of the event, and I certainly would be doing a poor job if I didn't thank my board members. The board members do an incredible job of putting this festival together, and the credit really goes to them. We want to also mention that we've got Pete Callan and John Connor back as joint MCs of our festival this year, which will be a whole lot of fun.
Okay. Is there a limit? I mean, how many can you have a certain amount of people in your band? I just have to think of that. What if you have only 40? Would that work? Or if
Absolutely.
150, would that work?
No, you can have as many as you want to have. There is no limit. When you get to a certain small number, it can be a challenge to get a very balanced ensemble, but we think it's a wonderful opportunity, and you can do things with very small ensembles that still are very high quality. And so it's kind of like you work with what you have, right? If you're the band director at that school and you have 30 kids that are willing to be involved with the marching program, that's what you work with. If you happen to have a powerhouse program that you've built up over the years and you have 150 kids, that's what you're going to work with. And in some of those bigger programs, they might actually have auditions that you have to audition to get into the marching program in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And just quickly, like after you've done the judging, do you have like a typed or handwritten report or an audio report? What does the band director get?
The band director gets both of those. They
Oh,
get a ballot that you make some comments on, and you put scores and the different captions on each of those 6 judges' ballots. Those add up to a total of 100 points, and then that tells you your overall score between all the bands that were there. But in addition, you make recorded comments. It used to be back in the day when I started, you did this on a tape recorder.
mm-hmm.
Well, now you do this on a digital recorder, and then they take that digital recorder, and there's a person that's part of the judges panel who doesn't judge, but their job is to tabulate scores and to download all those comments directly onto computer files, so that by the time the band is done performing, literally within 30 minutes later, the staff can be listening to the judges' comments, making critique, and getting ready to prepare for improvement for the next performance.
And I always flash back when I was in high school band. If we could make a nice straight A at halftime, we thought we were pretty good.
Absolutely.
It's again Saturday the 18th, the Harry Wenger Marching Band Festival, starting at 11. Come early, and again the judges stand right downtown by the post office. And that's our talk of the town for today here on AM 1390 KRFO.